Thank you for meeting with us, Ms. Franklin.
Thank you for having me here.
So, Ms. Franklin, can you tell us a bit about what garnered your interest in academia in the first place?
I believe it has a lot to do with my family background. My family had always valued education and public service, which is why I had the privilege to attend one of the few girls' schools in London that taught physics and chemistry. That is where my interest in science began. At the age of 15, I decided I wanted to become a scientist, later enrolling in Newnham College, Cambridge, where I studied chemistry.
So this is great. We see that after graduation, you started a fellowship and then shifted towards the specific interest of chemistry of course. So would you like to elaborate more on it, and please be free to share some insights into your findings.
Certainly. So it was during the advance of the World War II that I decided to work for the British Coal Utilization Research Association, where I just wanted to explore the physical chemistry of coal and carbon to really understand its application in the context of the ongoing war. With this study, it was concluded that pores in coal have fine constrictions at the molecular level, which increase with heating and vary according to the carbon content of the coal. These act as molecular sieves that successively block penetration of substances according to molecular size. By measuring these microstructures, it was possible to classify coal and predict their performance to a higher degree of accuracy. This work then became the basis of my PhD thesis.
That is pretty impressive. However, what we believe is even more interesting is that despite studying physical chemistry, you have made a major contribution to the study of the structure of DNA. Can you tell us a bit about how you combine these two fields?
After learning crystallography and X-ray diffraction at Jacques Mering in Paris, I decided to work as a research associate with John Randall at King's College London in the biophysics unit. There, my student Raymond Gosling and I acquired a photograph of the DNA by controlling the water content of the DNA specimens. It was then that we discovered that there were two forms of it, a dry A form and a wet B form. One of their X-ray diffraction pictures of the B form of DNA, known as the photograph 51, displayed the structure of the DNA.
Ms. Franklin, would you say in any way your article was supporting Watson and Crick's research paper?
Well, I do admit that my paper came out after Watson and Crick's, but my experiment was conducted, if not documented, before their finding. And I did later find out that they'd based their article on my research, but I chose not to complain or bring any traction towards it.
And what was the reason behind it?
Maybe because I was never really seen as a real scientist by my peers. Mr. Wilkins, who also worked at King's College, never really saw me as a scientist who was doing her own research, but as a mere assistant, always. It's hard to believe that people have agreed to find my research as pertinent to Watson and Crick's model of the DNA.
We are really sorry to hear that. We would like to end this interview on this last question. That do you really believe that your findings are in any way relevant to the world now?
Of course, knowing the structure of the DNA has paved the way for much of molecular biology, primarily genetic engineering, forensic science, DNA fingerprinting, and sequencing for information.
Well, that's it from our side. Thank you for coming here. We'll be calling you shortly with our decision.
Thank you for this interview. Looking forward to your response.
Thank you for meeting with us, Ms. Wilkins.
Thank you for having me here.
We would like to talk to you about your colleague, Ms. Rosalind Franklin.
Yeah, sure. I know Rosie.
It would be really respectful of you if you refer to her as Ms. Rosalind Franklin.
Rosie? Sure. Sorry.
So, Mr. Wilkins, since both you and Ms. Franklin had your research in similar domains, can you tell us a bit about your work at King's College and how it differed from Ms. Franklin's?
Sorry. Sure. So I had always been interested in finding out the structure of DNA and understanding its functionality. And that's when I started working on DNA structure, and then upon my successful collaboration with James Dewey Watson and Francis Harry Crick, we were able to identify the helical structure of DNA, and our work was recognized and we were awarded a Nobel Prize in 1962 for our discoveries concerning the molecular structure of nucleic acids and its significance for information transfer in living material.
Mr. Wilkins, do you believe that the scientific discovery that awarded you a Nobel Prize was based on Ms. Franklin's work that you came across and decided to use?
Ms. Franklin's work was commendable, and she did extensive research on the model of DNA. However, the discovery made by me and my fellow scientists was the result of our understanding and our own research, which was not based on anyone else's work. I don't abide by the controversy that Ms. Franklin had been snubbed by her contemporaries.
So, do you think that this rift between you and Miss Franklin had something to do with you not regarding her as a scientist?
I don't think so. Yes, it is true that I mistook her for an assistant, but that was an honest mistake on my part, and a little bit of miscommunication as well. But since then, there's been nothing but mutual respect between us.
So, do you believe that she should have been awarded the Nobel Prize?
Well, since more than 3 people cannot share a Nobel Prize, there was no way she could have. Also, since her work was an extension of the paper written by Watson, Crick, and I, it doesn't feel that this would have been the right decision made by the committee.
Well, that's it from our side, and thank you so much for being here despite your busy schedule.
No problem.
Ms. Franklin, we have decided to recruit you as the head of our research department in the Integrated Science and Mathematics School of Habib University.
We believe that your interdisciplinary approach towards scientific research aligns with our institution's view of holistic view of science and society. Hence, we'd like to welcome you here and hope that together we'll bring a new wave in scientific research.
Thank you for this amazing opportunity. I assure you that I would work with immense zeal and dedication.